Most people would never throw $10 into a fire, but every single day, millions of people spend $10 on things they won't even remember next week. A coffee, a snack, a delivery fee, a random online purchase. $10 doesn't feel like much. In fact, it feels so small that most people don't even think twice before spending it. But what if that tiny amount of money was secretly worth far more than you realize? What if $10 a day could become tens of thousands of dollars without working extra hours, without starting a business, and without finding the next hot stock? Today we're going to follow a simple experiment. One person spends $10 every day, the other invests it. 10 years later, the difference is shocking. And by the end of this video, you may never look at $10 the same way again. Let's begin. Imagine two friends, same age, similar income, similar education. Neither one is rich, neither one wins the lottery, neither one starts a million-dollar business. The only difference between them is one simple decision. The first friend spends $10 every day. Nothing crazy, coffee, fast food, subscriptions, convenience purchases, just little things. The second friend does something different. Every day, they invest that same $10. Now let's be honest. At first this feels ridiculous. $10? Really? That's supposed to change my life. Most people stop listening right here. And that's exactly why most people never experience the power of investing. Because wealth is deceptive. The beginning is boring. Painfully boring. The first month doesn't look impressive. The first year doesn't look impressive. The first few years don't look impressive. In fact, the beginning often looks like nothing is happening at all, and that's where most people quit. But something important is happening behind the scenes, a force that has created countless millionaires: compounding. In fact, every finance channel is practically legally required to tell you that Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said it or not, the idea remains powerful. Money begins earning money, then those earnings begin earning money, and eventually, growth starts accelerating. Think of it like rolling a snowball downhill. At first, it barely grows, then it gets bigger, and eventually it becomes something impossible to ignore. Investing works the same way. Let's assume our investor chooses a simple low-cost index fund. Nothing complicated, no stock picking, no market predictions, no trying to outsmart Wall Street, just consistent investing, $10 a day, every day, year after year. Historically, the stock market has averaged roughly 10% annual returns over long periods. Some years are amazing, some years are terrible, but over decades, that's been the general trend. So what happens after 10 years? The investor contributes about $36,500, but because of compounding, they don't end up with $36,000. They end up with roughly $60,000. Think about that for a second. Nearly $24,000 came from growth, not from working, not from overtime, not from asking for a raise, from money working on its own. And here's where things get interesting. Most people think this is the impressive part. It's not. The truly insane part comes next. Because the first 10 years are just the warm-up. Imagine continuing for another 10 years. Now you're not just investing money, you have a growing army of dollars investing alongside you. Your contributions are working, your gains are working, and your gains on those gains are working too. After 20 years, your total out-of-pocket contribution is $73,000. But your account? It has ballooned to roughly $231,000. That is over $158,000 of pure, effortless profit. This is where compounding begins to feel like magic. But it's not magic. It's mathematics mixed with patience. And patience is something most people struggle with. We live in a world that wants everything immediately. Instant delivery, instant entertainment, instant gratification. Yet wealth has always rewarded people who think differently. People who can delay gratification. People who understand that small actions repeated consistently create extraordinary outcomes. Now here's a question. What if I offered you two choices? Option 1, $1 million today. Option 2, One penny that doubles every day for 30 days. Most people choose the $1 million. Sounds obvious. But by day 30, that penny becomes more than $5 million. Why? Compounding. Small beginnings, massive outcomes, and investing follows the same principle. This is why wealthy people often appear boring. They aren't constantly chasing the newest opportunity. They aren't trying to get rich next month. They aren't checking their portfolio every 10 minutes. They're doing simple things consistently. While everyone else is searching for shortcuts, they're quietly building wealth. And eventually, those boring decisions produce extraordinary results. Now here's the mistake that costs people the most money: waiting. People tell themselves they'll start investing later, after they get a raise, after they pay off debt, after the economy improves, after life becomes less stressful. But life is always busy, there is always another excuse, and every year spent waiting comes with a hidden cost. Because investing isn't just about money, it's about time, and time is the one thing you can never get back. Now imagine two people. One starts investing at age 25, the other starts at 35. The second person may invest much more money, but the first person often ends up ahead simply because they started earlier. Time gives compounding room to work. The earlier you begin, the less money you actually need. And that's why this video isn't really about $10, it's about habits. Almost everyone watching can find $10. The challenge isn't finding the money. The challenge is staying consistent long enough to see the results. Because consistency isn't exciting. Nobody posts screenshots of their daily investments. Nobody throws parties because they invested another $10. Nobody becomes famous for being patient. But patient people often become wealthy. And that's the lesson most people miss. Financial freedom rarely arrives through one giant decision. It arrives through thousands of small decisions, repeated over and over again, day after day, month after month, year after year, until one day, you look back and realize those tiny actions completely changed your future. So the next time you're about to spend $10 on something you'll forget tomorrow, pause for a moment, ask yourself one question. What if I invested it instead? Because $10 seems small today, but 10 years from now, it might be one of the smartest financial decisions you ever make. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Wealth Roots 101, because building wealth isn't about secret tricks. It's about understanding simple principles that most people ignore, and when you apply them consistently, the results can be life-changing. I'll see you in the next video.